Well, hello, my beautiful people. We're back into the office with the equipment. So I'm hoping the equipment's all working well. As you know, because we're on StreamYard, we lost our videos because I'm not paying for StreamYard anymore. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We cover true crime. We've got a special guest coming on. She'll be here around 8:20 this afternoon. But because we have breaking news related to the active shooter in South Atlanta, I figured we would go to that and learn a little bit more about what is going on. If I have to say, all this stuff seems strategic to me. They're popping up here, they're popping up there. So there's either a network of people planning stuff, or I don't know. I just don't trust a lot of stuff. But I'm gonna withhold my comments for a little bit. We'll get updated on what is going on, so you guys can hear some stuff. It's pretty shocking. Definitely concerning the level of hostility that's going on. Sorry about that. The level of hostility going on around this country, and the innocent people. Most of these people are pissed off because of some person, and they're taking it out on people that didn't have anything to do with why they're having a bad day, and that's just wrong. It's just wrong on every level. If they think that this is going to move the needle where we're going to restrict guns in this country, this is the reason why we all should be carrying them. Right here is exactly why everybody should be carrying them. Because if people were out and about and knew how to use firearms, this threat would have been diminished very quickly. It would have been resolved very quickly. And so I'm going to keep maintaining and standing. Every time we have this, I'm going to say that more Americans need to be armed, because clearly our government can't keep us safe. So it's up to each and every one to make sure that we are all safe. So that is the Bullhorn Betty message, and it will continue to be the Bullhorn Betty message. And I hope that everybody across social media starts having that message, so this stuff can come to an end. This is political. It's always been political. It's been political to hijack our Second Amendment rights, and I'm tired of it. Stop it. It's not happening. It's not happening. Over my dead body. I live in Florida, and I'm pretty confident when I say that.
Here, in addition to the businesses and, of course, the area that is on lockdown where the crime happened. So right now, just still very active in this area, police being very controlled situation as far as the traffic that they're allowing back and forth. And that's what we're seeing out here at this hour.
Yeah, Deidre, you're on the other side of where all this happened from where Eric is, closer to Emory University Hospital. Looks kind of like a quieter situation on that side of Clifton Road than Eric's side, where all of these officers staged.
Which is kind of crazy, because you see that CVS? Do you see the above apartments there? There's actually, from my understanding, there's actually apartments above this CVS. So we're going to see a sneak peek behind the scenes of what happened. And I got to tell you, it's unnerving. It's unnerving.
Their vehicles, we saw those SWAT vehicles rushing up that hill on Clifton Road toward the CVS. So it was quite a scene when all of this unfolded.
So much going on and so many different perspectives. As Deidre was out talking with people, you just imagine all the people that are related to that situation there, from the Emory community, from the CDC community, and otherwise. Now, we want to take you back to the moments when this first started unfolding. And we're just getting some new video into our newsroom now. We're going to actually just go ahead and stop talking.
We're going to be watching a video and listening to somebody that's above, in those apartments above that CVS. Why want to...
Wow, that looks like it was taken from someone's apartment right on top of the CVS. Okay, because you have the CVS.
I can't tell if they've modified that or not, because I'm listening to it and it seems like it's a trigger each time. Boom, 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 boom. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing, but I'm listening to it and I'm hearing boom, 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 boom. But I can't tell if he's moving his finger, which is possible. He could move his finger a little faster, but this is not something where I'm hearing. But the one thing I'm having a problem with is it sounds like they're so equally apart that it's hard for me to believe somebody's finger is that, right on the money each and every time. It does sound a little auto like that's, but it's slower than what I'm used to with an auto, the modified, but it doesn't seem, it doesn't seem like it's stopping. It doesn't seem like it's somebody's finger, but it's slower than what I'm used to with an automatic. That's the only problem. So let's keep listening to this. And then, like I said, we're going to be getting back to our regular show at 8 o'clock. And then we'll have our special guest up here at 8:20. But for the time being, we're going to get up to date on right now the firearms issues. The mass casualties and mass violence going on around this country. We have another one, South Atlanta. And right now we're hearing somebody in apartments above the CVS where this all kind of broke out.
Drugstore there in the corner. And then on top of the CVS, you have people's apartments. Mm-hmm. So this person opens their window and hears this. Can you imagine how terrified?
That's not a window. That's a balcony door.
They were, but had the presence of mind to roll on this from their phone.
My goodness.
With traffic still going by the way.
Traffic driving by. And also, I mean, just think of the time it takes to pull out your phone and hit record. So there had to be more shots fired.
Before that.
I have to think that people in this country need to pay attention a little more. There's a lot of people asleep behind those wheels. Like, if I heard that, my car would come to a complete stop. I would be taking shelter. I wouldn't be just keep continuing to drive to get, a stray bullet. Oh, that reminds me, before I wanted to say thank you. I just saw somebody say hi to you, Fancy's mama. She's been with us for 11 months. Well, it's nice to see you, and thank you so much for being here. Autumn says, hey, from Atlanta. I live in San Diego now. Oh, good gracious. I'd probably run too. I mean, if this is what's going on, I don't know. Atlanta, I'm not a big city girl. I'm just not.
For what we saw, I counted 18 gunshots just in rapid succession.
So if you look on the left side of the screen, we have the perspective of the apartments. That person only had to be, like where that police car is, a couple of floors above. Like you can see where the little patio is there. Mm-hmm. And presumably, we showed you the picture of the CDC earlier where one of those bullets impacted the bullet-resistant window or the impact-resistant.
Wow! So people are even putting in bullet-resistant glass, and the bullet-resistant glass was damaged. What was he using?
Window, but the sound of that rifle or long gun, which was described to us earlier, was just piercing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just really chilling video there. Let's get back out to our Russ Spencer.
And I've got to be honest with you. Whenever we're dealing with stuff like this, you can tell what kind of gun they're using just by the sound. And as you can hear, that was definitely the sound of a rifle. I think it's important that people know the sounds, even if you're not a 2A supporting person. I think you should at least go and listen to different sounds, because a lot of people, sometimes like a 22, it sounds like a firecracker. It sounds like a firecracker. And you can be in real danger and just think it's a firecracker. You need to be kind of well-versed in sounds this day and age, in my opinion. You need to know when you're in danger. And sometimes, people just like these people driving by the OK Corral today, and they're just driving, getting on with their day, probably blaring the music, not paying attention, and they could have been a victim just from just getting on to get on, it's crazy.
Sir, who's been just detailing some of the timeline of how all of this unfolded, Russ.
Well, again, we heard Eric Perry talk to a witness who heard that go on for 7 minutes. He said 7 or 8 minutes. It's hard even to imagine. And when you hear that, and then to hear that one officer has been shot and one other person has been wounded, but no one else. In all of those gunshots, that really is kind of remarkable as well. Okay.
Well, that tells me a few things. What does that tell us? This person is probably a dumbass. Okay, I'm sorry, but if you've let off that many rounds and only 2 people were shot, struck, I would say that the person wasn't a very good aim. I'm wondering who this person is. Is it a 20-something? Why do I feel like this is going to be another one? But I don't know. We've been having some angry 50-year-old men here lately, so who knows? It might be a senior or somebody getting creep into the senior citizen. But the AR, that sounds like a young punk, female or male, but a punk, and it sounds like whoever was there was not very highly qualified or skilled or trained. Just my opinion. Just on that statement.
It's 7:27 on this Friday night. Mayor Andre Dickens and Atlanta Police Chief Darren Shearbaum are expected to address the media now in less than 3 minutes. We'll look forward to hearing from them at the Kroger at the corner of Clifton Road and Briarcliff. In the meantime, let me share with you some of the reaction from our elected officials here in Georgia. We heard from the governor earlier.
I just want to remind everybody that is coming in, we do have a regular show at 8 p.m. That show is not being deterred from this breaking news, but I decided since I was sitting here and we have breaking news going on right now, I might as well not keep you guys in the chat chatting, and you guys might as well see the breaking news before we start on our evening show.
The governor is saying that he and Marty and the girls are keeping everyone in their prayers and are ready to respond. And here's what we have from Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr. On X, he says, "We are horrified by the news out of Emory University and praying for the safety of the entire campus community. We stand ready to assist our law enforcement partners with whatever they may need." And Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock, he says, "I'm monitoring the active shooter incident at Emory closely. I'm praying for the officer who was injured and all students and faculty. I am devastated," he writes, "that our community is facing yet another tragedy of gun violence." Again, that from...
I'm wondering if that was a gun-free zone.
U.S. Senator Raphael.
I just want to let you know that people target gun-free zones. Why? Because they know everybody in there is a sitting duck. Just to say, if you want a target of mass people, go to a place that says, no guns allowed. Perfect target. It's insane.
Bill Warnock. So there we have the live picture up on the left-hand side of your screen. Clifton Road still closed, presumably will be for the rest of this evening as police investigate, given the enormity of what's happened there and the number of shots fired and the fact that as many as 3 buildings at the CDC may have been targeted. All right, I'm just getting news from our control room that the news conference that was initially scheduled for 7:15, pushed back to 7:30, has now been pushed back to 7:45. Like us, they want to get it right, and they certainly are entitled to the time to put it all together to give us the fullest picture they can this early on as to what has happened. We do not have the identity of the shooter at this point. I have seen some folks on social media asking us to show the shooter's picture. We don't have it. We don't have an identity at this point. Perhaps police do. One would think that at this point they probably do. We'll find out here in about...
I'm confident law enforcement absolutely knows who this person is. Do we know if the suspect is down? I don't hear any more. It seems like they've contained the scene. Is that my understanding? Because you guys might have more information on that. Everybody seems calm with what we're seeing here. We're not seeing a whole bunch of people doing, military, stuff out there. River. Well, thank you. Been a member for 6 months. I appreciate that. Thank you for the love and support, my dear. Thank you for the love and support.
Able to fire 18 shots in succession like that. I'm not sure that police will be able to give us that information this soon when they do come out and speak at the news conference. But that is...
If the suspect is down, then they know who it is. Because I guarantee they probably have, it's probably going to be one of those things, kind of like, where that chick did, the family calls, or that dude, and the family calls and says they got a missing a missing person, right? And it's their child, and I'm just praying to God it's not a 20-something, but who the hell knows?
Is one of the questions that I would have, because it just didn't sound like there was time to reload in between the 18 shots that I counted.
If I could read, because we're coming to you on our streaming app, Fox Local, which of course then proliferates and goes across many platforms, including YouTube, where a lot of people are watching us now. Somebody commented that they heard the gunshots and it sounded like a hammer beating on something. And that's a good way to describe the intensity of the sound that came from that gun. It's just so loud and so intense that, you know, it could pierce right through you. Or if you were in that area, or like the person who had the presence of mind to take out their phone, given the danger that they might have found themselves in, to roll on that.
So it sounds like they're not going to have the press conference on this one, because it looks like this has already ended. Let me see if I can get that press conference up. Okay.
Render aid. He did pass at the scene. We also know that the CDC campus did receive multiple rounds into their buildings. Right now, as the mayor stated, we are not aware of any injury that occurred to anyone on that location. 4 other individuals did later arrive at the hospital. They were retreated for stress and anxiety symptoms. They were not injured in the shooting. And to reemphasize what the mayor stated, the children in the daycare center are unharmed. We have law enforcement and medical professionals with them.
That's unnerving, the daycare. That is unnerving. Unnerving.
And we are coordinating the return of those children to their families. We've already put this out. We want to reemphasize it. The CDC leadership is communicating this to all parents, but the reunification site is at the Clifton School, which is located at 1900 Starvine Way, Starvin Way in Decatur.
Let me get that.
And we want to again reassure all parents and loved ones that their children are okay.
Turn off the closed caption.
We do believe there was a single shooter, and we do believe that single shooter is deceased. Right now, the investigation is being conducted by the Atlanta Police Department's Complex Case Squad, by the GBI and the FBI in a joint investigation until we know more information as to what transpired. The Atlanta Police Department is lifting up the DeKalb County officer, the DeKalb County Police Department in our prayers, and I ask everyone that is watching this broadcast to do the exact same thing. And I want to commend the men and women of law enforcement from all across this region, that when this community needed them, no one shirked from the danger. And every officer from multiple districts responded and immediately moved to end this threat. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Paul Brown, the Special Agent in charge of the FBI's Atlanta Division. And like the Chief and the Mayor said, we immediately responded to the scene. At this time, we're not aware of any casualties on the campus of the CDC, but in conjunction with our partners, we're methodically clearing that to ensure that that is accurate and that is remains so. And then once that's done, we'll assist with processing the scene and conducting the investigation jointly with our partners.
Mayor, Chief, we'll get ready for questions. We'll start on this side. We may not be able to get to everyone, but we'll start with you, Rob, over to the mayor's right.
Right.
Good evening, Mayor. Is it believed right now that the CDC was targeted in this attack?
Well, I'll let Chief Schilbaum ask anything around the investigation. He'll be able to answer that. But right now, it's so preliminary. I read social media and I get calls from a number of you that have heard things about this individual's background. He's a white male, and he has he is a known person that may have some interest in certain things that I can't reiterate right now with any confidence until the investigation is fully conducted. But I think that in short order, you'll know more about this individual and about some assumptions of his motives, but can't say right now.
All right. Can you tell us anything more about the suspect? What kind of weapon did he use? How many rounds went into the CDC building?
Chief, not yet. We can tell you multiple rounds were fired.
Oh, sorry,
we can
guys.
tell you that multiple rounds were fired, both we believe at law enforcement and potentially at the CDC. Purposely, we can't say it definitively, but it would appear we can't rule that out right now.
Is that CVS a two-story store, or was he in some other kind of place above the store?
We believe it's a multiple-story building, but he was on the second floor of the building that houses the CVS.
Sorry, guys. I needed to change a different. Oh, shit. Hold on. Of course. Told you we'd have technical issues.
Including numerous on Bedford and some other neighborhoods. I'm curious to what extent can the city confront what seems to be a rash of gun violence without state-level intervention?
So your question around a number of high-profile shootings, Fort Stewart, here at Emory, and others across the nation and in the state of Georgia, is definitely one that we have to pay attention to. Mass shootings, active shooter scenarios should not become the norm. We have a number of individuals in this country that have access to high-powered weapons. And for individuals with those high-powered weapons that may have mental challenges, or those individuals with high-powered weapons that are angry, when they choose to use those weapons in a way that harms multiple people, we have to put an end to that in our society. So this is something we do have to have a national and a state, a full conversation across the nation and across the.
I would say tamper down the rhetoric across the aisles. That would be the one thing. All this political battling, you know, the hims and the hers and the he's and the ha's, that needs to stop.
State of Georgia, not just in one city. As you see, this is a coordinated effort across DeKalb, across college campuses, the FBI, the GBI. As you see active shooters across the nation, we've just been added to the statistic.
You said that, sorry, you said
right
that,
here in black shirt.
Thank you. We're hearing that the officer passed away. So he was critically injured. Did he pass away? Or is his condition?
Well, at this time, it is a DeKalb County officer, and we want to make sure that DeKalb County is able to respond to what's going on with that officer. We know that he was shot and critically injured, and at this time, as I stand here, I can't give you that information that you just asked. We have the PIO of DeKalb County here, and as I said, in short order, you will hear from the DeKalb County Chief and the DeKalb County CEO.
can I ask, why was the DeKalb officer there? I know this area is kind of on that border, but just talk about that. Maybe Chief Sherman or you, Mr. Mayor.
I want to talk about how mutual aid and how we're all kind of together.
This is an area that is part of the city limits, but inside of DeKalb County, so it's not uncommon for patrol patterns to cross for multiple jurisdictions. They may share the space. We don't know why the officer was there. Was he going to work? Was he coming home from work? We don't know if he was on patrol. We will know that at the end of the investigation.
So it sounds like they've already heard, the news has already heard that the officer is deceased.
The threat of the active shooter.
Yes.
Yes, we can confirm that our officer was responding to the threat of the active shooter.
Can you give an update on the condition? There have been several media reports that he's passed away or she.
So we can't confirm that at this time. Like Mayor said previously,
This doesn't sound good for the officer, y'all.
Will be here to provide an update. I just don't have that information readily available.
So we are, both Chief and Mayor, if you can, we're getting reports that maybe the suspect who was known had some issues with the CDC because he was upset about the COVID vaccine. He thought it made him sick. Is there any way you guys can maybe address that, and maybe if he was targeting the CDC because of the vaccine?
We cannot confirm at this time. This is in the earliest stages of the investigation. The same questions you have, law enforcement has. And so everything that is the question of the nation, we're going to get the answer to, and we'll be able to report back as soon as we can.
We're hearing this maybe for the cab, but was this officer a rookie officer? We heard basically he was ambushed a little bit when he actually arrived on scene.
So any information about the officer will come from Interim Chief Pedrick later this evening, including his status and how long he was with the department.
That's not looking good. I have a funny feeling, guys, we're going to have to say a prayer for an officer's family tonight. What a shame. Senseless. Just senseless.
All right. Is the white?
And I'm sorry, but if they had been focusing, and I'm a little bit perturbed because the problem has always been mental illness. It's always been mental illness. Okay? It's not been much anything else. Mental illness is the culprit, yet nobody ever wants to talk about the true culprit.
Car with the trunk open and shot up, is that connected to the suspect?
It's part of the crime scene at this time. We can't confirm if it was the car that the suspect drove, but it is being searched by the police and it's being held as evidence.
We're going to take the last.
Okay, so now they're getting. She's going to start rolling it up because they're starting to get too technical. They have more information than they're willing to release right now. Media is actually releasing a lot more information to the public than law enforcement really wants out there right now.
I have a question right here.
Do you guys have a timeline of when the gunfire was called in and how quickly officers responded and how quickly the suspect was essentially?
4:50 p.m. is when the first call came in. Law enforcement arrived very, very quickly thereafter. Oftentimes when officers arrive, they're so quickly engaged in the scene they can't radio out. So we'll be reviewing all video to determine when the first officers arrived. But the response was from multiple agencies. I wish I could name everyone right now, but the citizens of the Atlanta region should be proud of their law enforcement today.
Yeah, as Chief stated, this was a coordinated effort. When I was here around 5:15 or so, I was seeing not only DeKalb County and Atlanta, we were seeing Gwinnett County. We saw officers from Dunwoody. We saw, of course, Emory, the FBI, GBI, Georgia State Patrol. Everyone was responding because there were shots being fired, calls for shot being fired right there in front of the CDC, and then shots fired inside of the CVS. And so you're hearing, everyone responded. It was hundreds of officers as well as fire rescue. And at this time, we've spoken with Emory President Finvez, as well as all of the individuals at the CDC, the leadership there, and the leadership of DeKalb County, et cetera. Everyone will continue to give updates throughout this evening. This very same spot will be utilized by DeKalb County as they return from the hospital really soon, as they're talking with families. So
it sounds pretty much like the press conference is wrapping up. We'll go for a couple more minutes, and then we need to move on with our regularly scheduled program.
As more information becomes available that we can share about the suspect that is now deceased, we will make sure that we share that because we want you to know the mindset, what might have led to this so that we never have it happen again. We want right now to give this update that the area is clear, no threats continue to exist, and we're going to start reuniting families with those children that are in that daycare.
Wow, the children haven't even been united with their families yet. What a shame. What a shame. We do not promote violence, vigilante justice, or anything of that nature on this show. As a matter of fact, we are just the opposite of that. Let's be honest. I mean, everybody in the world knew that the COVID vaccine was an experiment. I mean, I'm sorry, but for those that it helped, I'm thankful. For those that didn't help, it's sad. People were forced to do things against their will to keep their jobs and everything else. That's not America. That's a communist country. I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, everybody knew what they were signing up for. And some people were very strong in their convictions and just had their line in their sand. And if their company was going to force them to do an experiment, then some people walked away and some people didn't have that opportunity because they have bills to pay and children to feed. We don't know what the situation is. We're only hearing hints about it. That doesn't mean that's necessarily the motive or anything like that. It's just very, very sad. But it doesn't give anybody the right to take action to serve vigilante justice. And not only that, what did that officer do to that man? That officer didn't lie to that man, and that officer didn't make that man go get an injection. I am jab free. Some people are not. I respect everybody's decision to choose. I'm not going to be disrespectful to them for those that chose to do it. But we all knew the risks. And clearly they didn't force people to do it. They didn't force you. They made you feel you were forced, but they didn't force you. They didn't drive us all to the doctors to make sure we got it. They didn't force us. They bribed us. If you don't do this, we're taking away your job. If you don't do this, we're not going to allow you to ride on planes. If you don't do this, we're not going to allow you to do this. If you don't do this, we're not going to allow you to do that. It's sad. But again, I think everybody that chose to get the jab knew what they were signing up for. And everybody that chose not to get the jab knew what they were signing up for. There was a risk both ways, right? We didn't know what we were dealing with. It could have easily turned the other way. I could be easily the one that has all the medical problems because I chose not to take the jab. It could, it was a flip of the coin. I just trusted, for me, my personal instinct, because I've had the flu vaccine, and every time I've ever had the flu, I never have the flu, except when I get a flu vaccine. So that's really where my judgment first came, because I knew how my body reacted to a flu vaccine. So I chose not to get it for other reasons. It's my medical decision to choose. But this man, nobody forced this man to take it, is my point. And to blame somebody and to unalive an officer that had nothing to do with that decision is disgusting. But this animal, and I don't think this person really was an animal. This seems a lot like mental illness to me, because there's a lot of people that have been sick, that had adverse effects of that shot, that didn't do this. That did not do this. What a shame. What a shame. All right, guys, that's just my opinion, and my opinion doesn't mean nothing. All that matters to you is your opinion. So take it for what you will. Take it for what you will. All right, guys, I have a very disturbing case, and this is out of Missouri, and this is for all of my Missouri family. As we come into, we're going to be introducing our special guest at 8 o'clock, but this is when our show was supposed to start, and this was the opening and the intro to our show. It's just that we had breaking news, so I figured I would come live early so we could get updated on that breaking news, and I'm glad I did, because not only were we able to see what was going on there, we were also able to get to the press conference and hear what they had to say related to the press conference. I don't know what to say, because we really don't have a whole lot of information, and it sounded like, the news had more information than law enforcement was willing to share. But it sounds like the officer lost his life. It sounds like the target was the CDC, and it sounds like the reason for the target was because this man got probably ill. There might have been some long-term effects of taking a experimental medication. So that's kind of it in a nutshell that I was able to garner. Again, I garnered more information from the press pool there than I did from the speakers. I really wish they wouldn't have said anything about the police officer, though, because I have a funny feeling the reason why they didn't release that information is because they probably haven't had an opportunity to notify. I would assume that his wife is there and probably has received that information. But once that information goes out, anybody that knows her, anybody that knows that family is going to be blowing up her phone. So I think they were just trying to give her time to get her bearings. But again, it is breaking news, and I can't complain, because this is one of the things that we say, media doesn't do enough to find out details or information or share those details and information. And in this case, they did. So I can't really complain about it. It's a double-edged sword. this is going to disturb you guys, and I'm going to try to move through this fairly quickly because I'm running out of time. I'm only going to take probably the first 4 minutes of this.
The story about this baby boy, Remy, who was abused when he was 6 weeks old. Some of you reached out after our story aired, shocked that nobody has been charged with the crime. Well, it's been a year, and still no one has been held accountable. The police think there's enough to charge.
This is where people in Missouri need to be active. This is where activism is very important. This is why we do what we do. We try to inspire people. We try to apply public pressure. There is no other case in Missouri. If you are an activist or an advocate in Missouri, there is no other case that you should be focusing any of your activism on other than this case right here. Because this is some bullcrap. This child was, I'm not going to, we'll get through it. I'll try to contain myself. You guys know I'm about to blow a gasket over this.
Prosecutor's office doesn't. And I wanted to get a sense of how the case was investigated. I'll take you through the key points of the investigation and where it stands today.
Those up with the hat.
It's a big day for Remy. He just turned a year old, and we were there as his family set up for the birthday party. This is his grandpa, or Papa, Bo Alberson.
We printed out a bunch of pictures, and seeing him through that period and seeing him now, it's not even the same baby. He's obviously doing way better.
Celebrating 1 year of Remy's life is an understatement when you consider hospital staff found he suffered a brain bleed, brain damage, a skull fracture, and rib fractures in various stages of healing when he was 6 weeks old. According to records obtained by the 41I team, the hospital and the Missouri Department of Social Services determined it was intentional child abuse that happened over the course of 7 to 10 days. He'll be disabled for the rest of his life.
It makes you cry knowing that, something like that happened to him, and it's accepted.
No one is answering for the crime. The case is closed. According to affidavits the I-team obtained last fall, the
case
doesn't. And I want to get a sense of how
they committed the crime.
The case is closed. I want you guys to understand that. The case is closed. And that is unnerving for me. This baby deserves justice. The people that are taking care of this child, which are the extended family, the grandfather, he's wanting justice. He knows it's his daughter, and he still wants justice for his grandson. And that's what's so sad, is how can you have a baby? If only 2 people were around this child and they have no case to bring. That is one lazy prosecutor. Shame on him. One flippin' lazy goob of a prosecutor. I don't know who it is. I don't care who they are. Get off your ass and do your flippin' job.
It's closed. According to affidavits the I-team obtained last fall, the Independence Police Department determined there was enough probable cause to believe Remy's mother and her boyfriend endangered Remy's welfare through neglect and failing to get him timely and proper care before he went unresponsive on.
Well, no shit. It's a baby. It's a baby. Who else would have that baby? And a prosecutor can't make this case? Tell me that's not a lazy prosecutor. Tell me that's not a damn lazy prosecutor. Oh, what state is this? Missouri? Somebody needs to find out who this prosecutor is. bullhornbetty@gmail.com. bullhornbetty@gmail.com.
June 18th, 2024. Former Jackson County prosecutor Jean Peters Baker sent the case back, saying there wasn't.
There she is. There's your lazy piece of shit prosecutor. Right there. Right there. The not tough on crime prosecutor. That lady needs to be fired. Fired. I hope she's not a mother if she can't make this case. She looks like she's a mother. And I bet I better hold my tongue. Better hold my tongue. I don't want to get started on her parenting skills based upon her looks. I might get bullied.
Enough evidence to charge. Newly elected prosecutor Melissa Johnson says the same. Her
Fire her! Fire her. Fire her. Lazy. 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 That child didn't get that way by itself.
Person telling me, quote, while we do believe abuse occurred, we cannot ethically pursue charges against someone unless we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt they...
Lazy. 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 You might be looking good with that suit on. You look a lot prettier than the last one, but you lazy. Time to fire her.
Specifically committed the crime. Right now, Remy is in the custody of his dad.
Look at that baby. That baby deserves justice. People in Missouri need to be in front of that prosecutor's office with signs raising hell lawfully and legally. No violence. Raise your voices. Have your signs. Be out there for this baby. Frickin' idiots. Fire that prosecutor. She ain't no good. And you keep firing the prosecutors until you find one that's willing to do their blessed job. That's how we roll.
Malachi Neagles, Remy's mother, who we'll call Laura,
that would be an
supervised...
embarrassment. You know what? That would be an embarrassment. In Florida, that would be an embarrassment for our Florida prosecutors to say we have a baby that we know was abused, but we're not going to take it to court because we don't trust our jury pool. That's lazy. Somebody go back in there and find me that lady's name. It's time to start active. We'll do what we can from here, but people in Missouri, you guys need to be getting out there and writing letters. You guys need to be calling people. You guys need to be doing stuff. If you're not out there doing stuff and you got some time, this is a great case. This is a great case to really, and you guys could push the needle. You could push the needle. If you're in this community and you need help figuring out what to do and how to get people together, you can always reach out to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. One thing I will tell you to do, if you are planning on doing anything of activism, you keep your flock in order. Okay? It's your responsibility. You bring them out. I'll give you what you need, but you got to follow. That's all. That's all. That's all. We want to make sure that we lead by positive example. But don't think Bullhorn Betty doesn't know how to lawfully raise hell. I've been doing it for a number of years now. I'm pretty skilled in the craft.
Visits. Laura's boyfriend, who we'll call Devin, is barred from any contact with Remy. We're not naming them because they haven't been charged in this case.
It's been a process. It's definitely been something
All right, news. Let me tell you something. They don't have a duty of privacy, and you don't have a duty to keep them private. This is why people are so sick and tired of mainstream media. I'm gonna try. I gotta move it along.
Has been weighing on us.
Now that the case is closed, I got all the records associated with it. IPD's case file, which includes body-worn camera footage and police interviews. I also got the Missouri Department of Social Services redacted case file. And I'm going to lay out the timeline from the day of the 911 call on June 18th, 2024.
What you're seeing is an officer's body cam from that evening, responding to the Executive Inn Motel in Independence, where Laura and Devin were living. They called 911 at 7:41 p.m., saying Remy was limp and had stopped breathing. Laura's mom and her boyfriend were also at the scene. We're blurring all their faces because they haven't been charged.
So what's up? Your other child was just playing with him?
Well, so she was trying to cuddle, but she's only 2, so she don't understand the concept that she cannot lay on him. And
so now it's the baby's fault. What a piece of
she ended up laying on him.
Laura and Devin told police they were in the shower together while Remy and Laura's toddler were asleep on the bed. They said Remy had been crying and then suddenly stopped. Devin said he came out of the bathroom.
I'll give you the lowdown, because we got to move it along. We'll come back to this. I promise you guys we will. We're not done with this case yet. I can promise you that, because I got to get people angry in Missouri so we can get people out there and doing the good work for this little boy. We'll circle back to that, but the nuts and bolts of it, this child was abused over several days. Several days. Lazy prosecutors. Lazy prosecutors. I will call every last one of those prosecutors out by name. I'm going to give you guys their emails and their phone numbers. We're going to do some deal. We're coming for you, Missouri. We're coming for you. Sorry, I moved my thing. My camera went out. Gotta love you. Gotta love StreamYard. Hold on a second. Okay, we're back. There we go. I have to change my thing now, so I don't have so it doesn't look like I'm Austin Drummond. I'd hate to look like Austin Drummond from Cell Block D. All right, so that was this, and then we got two more, and then we're going to be bringing our special guest up. So I'm going to try to make this very quick. This one will go quick. This is one that's in my own community. It's Charlotte County. It's kind of poked into Manatee County. This is Giovanni Pelletier. He came to Florida with his family to visit. He didn't know his father's side of the family too well. Apparently some cousins that he's never met reached out to him, went out there and picked him up. By 1:30 in the morning, he's screaming for help by text to his mother, and he disappears and never seen again. The cousins say that he was acting erratic, and they put him out on I-75 and State Road 70 here in Manatee County, about 20 minutes away from my home. We just learned that there were some items found. It appeared that they were dumped on the side of the road here in Manatee County that our law enforcement collected. The cousins are from Mims, Florida. That's in Brevard County. Brevard County Sheriff has already been out there. He's already talked to the cousins. There's still something fishy with the cousins. I'm sorry. I'm not letting that go. The whole story stinks to high heaven. And they're from Mims, but it doesn't even appear that he went to Mims. So I'm still trying to figure out where the cousins all went, where they picked up their cousin. And it sounds like they must have been hanging out in Sarasota or Charlotte County until 1:30 in the morning, because based on the Brevard Sheriff, he never made it to Mims, Florida. And I'm sorry, I just don't believe it. Do I believe that the altercation happened in the vehicle? No, I do not. I believe that there is a secondary location. I don't believe the place where something happened and the place where he was ultimately dumped I believe that those are two separate spots. But I do not believe he's here in Manatee County. I believe he's closer to Mims. I've looked at the area there. It's pretty swampy in some of the areas. And these would be the places that these folks feel comfortable. I'd like to know the history of the cousins. If you guys know the history of the cousins, send me that. If you guys have that information, send me that. This is Giovanni Pelletier. He's a North Carolina resident, again, that came to Charlotte County for a summer vacation with his parents. Wanted to meet some of his father's side of the family. He hasn't really had a really good connection with his dad. Yeah, he doesn't know his dad's side of the family. He connected with his cousins. He was coming down here, and he had an opportunity to meet them and take off with them, and he did, and he never came back. So that's kind of the case in a nutshell. We have about a few more minutes, and there you are. Perfect. Let me get through this, and then we'll be
into a search here in Central Florida. This 18-year-old boy was last seen on Friday right before he went to visit family in Brevard County. And Fox 35's Esther Bauer is hearing from his family.
In Brevard County. So it was always intended that they were going to pick him up and take him back to Brevard County. And lastly, before we get anything up, and this is another case, and we will be discussing this tomorrow. So if you guys would like to do some digging, we are going to be covering all three of these cases first thing in the morning, 10 a.m., and we are going to be going over all of the information for these three cases. That's going to be our 10 a.m. show. This one here is Lindsay Dorr, a Garrett County woman, walked into the woods. This whole story here stinks to high heaven. I'm sorry. Listen to this. A Garrett County woman walked into the woods on her family's property carrying a set of golf clubs. Why in the world would she walk into the woods with golf clubs? Doesn't make sense. And vanishes over a year and a half ago. And despite massive searches and family desperate pleas, the central question remains, what happened to her? She disappeared on November 4th, 2023. So Lindsay Dorr, Giovanni Pelletier, and this one is, I don't even know the child's name. I just saw this and I was so freaking angry when I watched it. I know they said this poor little Remy's his name. And so we're going to be looking into Remy because I've got to get some activism going. I can't do it myself. And so we're going to have to get some small groups for our true crime stuff around the country. And I think that's probably going to be the best. But right now we have this problem in Missouri. What everybody can do right now is you can start reaching out to the prosecutor's office, start sending some messages to the governor, start doing what we do. Start doing what we do. Demand accountability. Will it work? I don't know. I'm not from Missouri. I'm just not. And, hey, hindsight. So that's what we have. So anyways, we're going to get back to this. Thank you guys for all being here. As you guys know, I'm Bullhorn Betty. We cover true crime here. And we've been covering a couple cases. Well, we cover a lot more than a couple cases. But the two cases we're going to focus on are going to be Layla Santinello. She disappeared July 2023. And Sebastian Rogers, June 2023. And Sebastian Rogers, was it June? I think it's June. And Sebastian Rogers, February 2024, a few months later. And the reason why those are the two cases is because this next guest started following me from one of the cases and has been covering the other case. So I thought it would be very, very good for everybody to get to know people's and get people's different perspectives, especially on the Sebastian Rogers case, because at the end of the day, we have a lot to offer. Many people offer opinions, do research, everything like that. This is a gal that got on TikTok and has started talking about Sebastian Rogers' case. She's got a channel here. So I just want to introduce to you guys Grave Crime with Grace. It's nice to finally see you again. It's not the first time we've met.
Yes. Yeah. No, we met at Layla's 1 year vigil, and then we also met a second time at Sebastian's 1 year prayer vigil.
You were there. Okay. So I was, because it was funny because I know you as Grave Crime with Grace, but I didn't realize the name. Once I saw your name, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've met her. I knew I met you. And so it's nice to see you again. And I know that you've been in the chat for a while, and a lot of people have been watching I watch you on TikTok. I watch you all the time on TikTok.
Well, thank you.
Also, you also have a channel here on YouTube as well.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about who you are, what brought you into true crime to begin with.
Absolutely. Well, I started getting on TikTok as a way to kind of share my faith in Christianity. And I've always had a passion for true crime. It's something that has been an interest of mine. Date back to being an undergraduate, around 19 years old, and like sparing time at 8 o'clock for Nancy Grace. I always enjoyed keeping up with true crime, but really, I've always had a heart for trying to help people that needed help. And that's carried over into my professional life, working in addiction. And that's kind of what led me to Layla Santinello and her case, because I'm fairly local as well. So it was, kind of just went hand in hand with just my wanting to help others.
So you were attracted to that from the element of that. Now, how did you learn about Layla Santinello? Was that from me or from somebody else, and you just migrated over to me?
Well, actually, that's how I learned about you. I'm local, so I had heard about Layla missing. Very little, not much though. It was just very little that I had heard, but where I work in the addiction world, outpatient. So it kind of had, there was things that had been said in that aspect. So I had kind of learned about the case from there. And then I started trying to find different creators that were covering her case more so because I knew that the news was not covering Layla's case very little. I mean, very, very little.
Yeah. And it's sad because it came down to the fact that she wasn't a perfect missing person.
Yes.
And that's really sad because there's so many people out there. Like there's a lady in Sarasota, I believe her daughter's name's Alicia Adams. And she's an adult, similar situation as Leila Santinello, and she hasn't been found in over a year. And she's still been looking. And I've reached out to her. We were supposed to connect, and then I got really busy and haven't been able to connect with her. And I'm probably going to have to try to get something because there's just no movement.
Yeah. It's sad because I see how a lot of those that are struggling with addiction, there's still, I guess, this idea that people that struggle with addiction are beneath or these low life type people or something. And it's like, they're still human beings. And, you know, I also got really interested too, because around the same time after Layla had disappeared, then there was another disappearance in Kingsport. So then that definitely even sparked my interest even more into finding more out about the case, because my mind then goes to, do we have someone, are these connected, like, you know, type things. And both of these young ladies had you know, struggles in their background. So that was really what led me to kind of going, you know, getting into true crime myself and reporting some of it.
Okay. And then we're going to kind of fast forward a little bit now, where we're going to get over to the Sebastian Rogers case, because that's when I kind of learned of you.
Yes.
And I like how you do your videos. You're very matter of fact. You keep it on point. So explain to me what you initially thought whenever you started poking around the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, not what you know now. Yeah. Just if you can go back to those days you were first hearing about this case, and what were you thinking? What were you looking into? What did you learn about Sebastian's case early on?
Well, what really drew me to the case initially was a personal thing, and that's being a parent of, you know, autistic children. And so that, you know, automatically like caught my attention, you know, seeing that this young man's missing and he's autistic. In the early days, you know, when we were first watching some of these, you know, interviews with mom and stepdad, I really didn't know what to think in the beginning. I kind of was leaning towards what was really being told to us was like that he was what typically you hear of autistic individuals, you know, or children that will elope. And so we didn't know anything about his background at that point. So my brain kind of went to it. I mean, it's easy to, just because, you know, I guess that's just one thing you learn automatically. It's one of the first things I learned in being a parent of autistic children was like, this is something you have to be very vigilant about. So I'm like I have, you know, locks on my windows, additional locks on my doors, you know, just because those things can happen. So my brain did go there first, you know, off the gate, you know, right out the gate, but it didn't take too long, probably within, I want to say, probably within the first month or so, I was like, something don't feel right with all of this. And then as we began to hear more from his father, Seth, and to learn more about that he was very high functioning, you know, just to hear that he was doing the same peer work, that he was you know, keeping up with his peers in high school, I was like, you know, that's very high functioning.
Right.
So
Now hold on just a second. I want to kind of go back before we get too far ahead.
Yeah.
So you have a child that's on the spectrum as well.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
can you tell me a little bit, I don't, you know, obviously not names or anything like that, but a little bit about your child's autism?
Yes.
Or, you know, what you go through, age, you know, if he elopes, you know, just general things that you've experienced with your child.
So we were meeting every milestone up until about 1 year, about 12 months to 13 months. And then we started noticing some regression. By age 2.5, we had the diagnosis, which we fought very hard to get because it's actually kind of hard to get a diagnosis. Tennessee is one of the, we're not 50th, but Tennessee is one of the worst states for autism services. I mean, like, we're not the worst, but we're real close to it. So my son dealt with a lot of behavioral type issues prior to getting into ABA therapy. You know, and it was really hard because you don't, as a parent, you really don't know how to help your child. If you don't, I mean, it has taken me as a mental health therapist that knows not everything about, you know, autism spectrum disorder, but it took a lot of research. I just went headfirst into trying to learn as much as I could, but there was so much that I still couldn't help my son with. So it was a struggle. But getting him in the right therapy has made a world of difference. So we're about to come up on a birthday here very soon, towards the end of the month, and he'll be 5. And it's like looking back from the diagnosis 2.5 years ago to now, I'm like, it's back then I couldn't imagine things being so much better than they were then. It was rough. I mean, it was hard because you just don't really, as a parent, you don't know the right things to do. I mean,
and then you're going to still have to go through the whole puberty thing. I hear that's a tough era because, you know, I've talked to a lot of family members. I didn't realize, I think you did tell me that when we spoke before, because some of the things are coming back that you told me about your son, but I was unsure. Now, the ABA therapy, now, I wrote this down because we heard Seth talk about that. You know, he was planning on, you know, Sebastian at some point was supposed to come and live with him, and he was going to do homeschool with the ABA therapy. Yes. A lot of people that don't have autistic children or children on the spectrum don't know what ABA therapy is. Could you give them just a little, you know, Reader's Digest version of it?
Absolutely. ABA therapy, it stands for Applied Behavioral Analysis. It is a therapy that is specific to autism, and it helps children learn how to self-regulate. You know, a lot of children struggle in areas like, I know, for example, I think Seth had mentioned at one point, like needing, like I think Sebastian may have needed just a little extra time. Well, with an ABA therapist that would be there, like say, for example, you had a child that, well, what's the best way to put this? The way they word it to me is your child works for something, right? So like, for example, if we're working on school stuff, which is what we're typically working on now, you know, just being able to be within this, you know, doing his schoolwork, being in the classroom setting. And like, you know, they'll work with him on, okay, well, we have to do, you know, we're going to work on this. And then my son works for breaks. He loves to just take a break and get a walk. And so having that individualized person there that fully understands, because this is, again, a therapy that is specific to autism, and it helps to deter some of the self-injurious behaviors that some individuals struggle with. Just learning it helps with socialization, you know, something that a lot of autistic individuals don't get, you know, is socialization. So it helps in a lot of different ways, but it mostly helps to manage behavioral type issues.
Yeah. And the Real Me Too was telling me also, diet. I didn't know this. She says that her grandson's on a very strict diet. And I said, well, what does that have to do with autism? She says, believe it or not, the food has some type of effect as well.
It can. It very much so can. We try to stay away from now the Real Me Too. They are like, she's amazing. So she's a little bit better at things than I am on that aspect. I'm not gonna lie. But we stay away from. I try to do all dye free. You know, there's a lot of studies out there, like specifically with certain dyes that can exacerbate behaviors in autistic individuals. So we kind of try to do that. We actually went and had we wanted to see what vitamin deficiencies were there, because a lot of individuals on the spectrum do have vitamin deficiencies, and a lot of it can be because of diet. You know, a lot of autistic individuals have a very rigid diet. My son does. Back in the day, people would say, well, they'll eat when they get hungry. That is not fully true for autistic individuals. That is not true.
Yeah.
So for me, I try to enforce like eating as healthy as we can, but we've also went through periods where like he just wouldn't eat at all, and would start to lose a little bit of weight, and I'm like freaking out. So we struggle with the diet for sure. It's a struggle.
Gotcha. Yeah. So whenever you sorry, I had some coffee with cream in it, and it always does something to my throat. I don't know why.
I clear my throat all the time, and I know you say that's with dairy, and I was like, wonder what my problem is, because it's not dairy with mine.
Oh yeah, it only happens when I drink milk. I don't even have it. Does not even bother me when I like have cheese or something. It's with the milk and the creams, the liquids. So I don't know what it is, but it just does something to my throat. It's been like that for a while. But so whenever you learned about Sebastian Rogers, now we're about a month in, things aren't sitting right with you. Things are starting to become red flags. I think for many of us, I think it was around the month mark. I know for me, it wasn't quite around the month mark. Maybe slightly. We had been talking about the case, I think since March 10th. But by March 20th, I was convinced. By the time I think Smiley Stories is in here, she is. I see her. By the time she did her interview with them, it was done. It was actually done the day before when I saw Olivia's drop. I think it was hers was on the 18th and one was on the 20th, something like that. It was one or the other. But I remember it went from Olivia's to Smiley's, or Smiley's to Olivia's, and they both were problematic because they both had different statements.
Oh, absolutely. Not only that, but it's just the anger that for me, the first red flag was the anger that was seen behind the stepdad. And I'm like, how are you? I mean, I can understand being angry that the child's upset, but this was like angry at things you shouldn't really be angry about, when you really should just be more concerned about finding, your stepson that is missing, and could be God knows where, so that for me was kind of one of the main things. I'm like, why is he so mad? That, and then, the lack of interest. The first time I seen the picture of the two of the parents out to eat while there's a search going on, and they were told they could, and, they were told they weren't going to leave the house, but yet they're out to eat, but they're supposed to be staying home for that reason. So it was just bothersome, that, and, KP going with him to, back to work. I mean, all these things that are going on when the kids he's barely missing, and y'all are just leaving the house willy-nilly. That's just not typical behavior for a child that's missing, like parents of a missing child.
Yeah, and then I think it was Smiley Stories World, I think, opened up, answered a lot of initial questions we have. So we wanted to know if CPS was involved. I was absolutely surprised that he lied about it. He tried to say that, yes, there's CPS was at their house, but it was only one time, yet he accidentally slipped and said, oh, it was the same one that was here before.
Mm-hmm.
So that told you right there that there was multiple visits, because it was leakage. But
and the sad part was CPS. Like, I have I have my degree in social work. I mean, I think I brought up, I went in obviously in professionally, I wanted to help people, but I have people that work within CPS, and when it came out that CPS had been involved in this case, I started questioning some of my friends, and I was like, okay, explain this one to me. Would that not be a huge red flag? And this was way before that it had been told that there was not just one, not just two, but 5 CPS reports in a very short amount of time. And they're like, yeah, that's huge.
Over, I think it was a 14 or 17 month period. 5. Yeah. Never didn't have them at the other property. They weren't having these problems at Remington.
Yeah.
There's not any indication that these problems were happening at Remington, or
Well,
Remington
you know
may
what?
have been in a different county. I don't think Remington was in a different county.
You
Yeah.
know, too, I wonder if maybe, and again, this is speculation,
Mhm.
but I wondered if maybe Sebastian started having a harder time because of the move, because change is hard. And it's especially hard for those on the autism spectrum. So he may have had more like behaviors that might have been a little bit harder to handle. And it kind of then leads into what I believe, did occur. And I do believe it wasn't something planned. That's my thoughts.
Mhm.
That something occurred, but I can't get with it being planned. I don't know why. I cannot get on that, but I just feel in my heart.
I haven't been, it's been hard. The only thing is if there is some things that start connecting the dots at the Texas Roadhouse. If things start connecting at the Texas Roadhouse more than circumstantially, then I'd have to start moving over that this was more premeditated. But it's my own bias because I see what everybody is seeing. I see the suspicion, but it's for me, it's just not enough. And I know something's there or could potentially be there, but we're just not seeing it.
Yeah.
To make that final connection that needs to be had. So we kind of have to look at other avenues in addition to that. So now we have this path forward of a premeditation type of parental abduction scenario. And then we have the flip side of that of something a lot more major that happened inside their home.
Yes.
And I've been kind of, I feel something happening inside their home for me is kind of leaning more toward it because of certain other things, but it's hard not to see both of these through it somehow.
Very true. A lot of what Hindsight has been putting out, and I've been watching a lot of the Mob Crew lately, what he's been putting out, just like showing things that I never noticed. And I mean, I definitely have not watched the Texas Roadhouse video probably as many times as the Voices of Truth. They're doing
amazing work on that stuff.
They really are. That's why I told you, I was like, how do I go after that, Betty? How do I go after them? They did wonderful. They do such great work.
They do. And you know what it comes down to is everybody has their skills and whatever they have their skills in. They throw their skills basically out on these channels. So, when we don't have those skills, we go look for them and see what those people that have those skills are saying. Absolutely. And so, that's I know they know their stuff when it comes to video stuff because Hindsight's come to me and said, "Oh, you don't, here's the problem with this video," or here's the problem with this photo. So, they know what they're doing when it comes to that video stuff.
And I will say, like, just watching what they've pointed out. I mean, there is some weird things going on. I mean, you really can't deny that it's weird that there's somebody standing beside her car. It's dark, and she acts, there's no problem. It doesn't seem like there's a problem there. So there are definitely some things that I think are for sure suspicious, most certainly.
When did you, I guess at this point, tell us what your processes were whenever you were getting this case. Like, what stuff did you read? What stuff did you see? What made you go down this avenue? Because you've been covering this for quite a bit. You probably are as knowledgeable as any of us are that have been covering this case. Yeah. So where did you go? What rabbit hole did you get down?
Mostly, I mean, I could not get off of the fact that really it just boiled down to watching these interviews one after the other, watching the fact that, their actions weren't, the mom and stepfather's actions were not speaking up with what, lining up with what they were saying. And so at that point, I wanted to learn a little bit about Seth. I started watching more of his things that, he was talking about. I know the big thing for me, my heart broke for him. One of the first interviews I watched, and just, there was such a difference, in my opinion, just between the behaviors of the two, because that's usually what I look at. I am in mental health. So I typically am observant of just people's behaviors. And so for me, if what you're saying is not lining up with your actions, there's something wrong there. Because they're talking about how they just miss him and they want him found, but you're not putting any action behind that or showing that truly is the case.
They've done nothing.
No,
they've done nothing. What do you think? What do you think? Let me ask you this. You're a mom of an autistic child. Okay, now granted, your child's a little younger, 5 years old, but let's fast forward a little bit. I don't think the answer is going to change much. What would you do if your child went missing?
Oh, I would be out of my mind. I've thought about that. I know people act differently in certain behaviors, in certain situations. But with that being said, I also have thought to myself, like, I would be losing my mind. How would I act? But I can assure you that I would be wanting to find my kid. I would be running. You wouldn't stop me from running these streets myself on foot, whatever I had to do. I mean, to find my kid. I just couldn't imagine my kid being gone and then just up and take off out of town. Just like,
you sound like you would be a Seth.
Oh, I just absolutely. And really, Seth is one of the main reasons that I want to continue putting any and everything out. Obviously, I'd have a connection to Sebastian that I feel, and I think we know what that connection is, but my heart breaks for him. It's not just hearing the words that he says, you can feel his pain. You can. And that's, again, as in mental health, that's what I listen for. That's the things that I look for.
And you've met him personally. I mean, you can't get any better. I'm sorry. You can't get any better gauge on somebody than being belly to belly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he has fought tooth and nail from day one. I mean, just anything to keep his son out there. He has ignored some of the things terrible things people have put him through. And it's like, he doesn't care because his main focus is where it should be, where, everyone's should be. And like I said, he's really kind of been the driving force behind, I say to myself, I would love for Sebastian to be found, but I want him found for his dad. I want him found for Seth.
Being from Tennessee, this might be a loaded question if you don't want to answer it. You might not want to. Being from Tennessee and being kind of enlightened over the last few years of some of them, some major cases in your state, how does it, I don't want to sound so cliche about saying, how does it make you feel? But I mean, how does it make you feel?
Not so good. I can tell you that it's almost embarrassing as what I've said to other people. I'm like, what is Tennessee doing? Especially
give me just a second. I hate every time I bump this stupid table, okay, you can continue.
You're fine.
Expect technical.
Well, I told you I knew nothing when it came to StreamYard. I was like, do I even need that? I just wanted to make sure, just to be on the safe side, because I was
it's actually pretty
not my area.
Yeah,
I was like, that's not my area of expertise. But it's embarrassing. Like I said, I've already said one thing that I think is horrible as it is. When we're talking about autistic individuals, we are one of the worst states for autism services for people. Then I look at how our CPS is just, and let me just tell you, speaking of CPS, this is something I wanted to bring up. So July 1st, there was a lot of laws that were put into place in Tennessee. Okay.
Yep.
So one, as a mandated reporter, one thing that changed, so for example, say you were my patient, Betty, and you came to me and you told me that your boyfriend had beat you up and that the kids were home. And I asked, well, were the kids harmed or anything? And you said, no, but they witnessed domestic violence, or they were just in the home where domestic violence occurred. Prior to July 1st, I didn't call CPS. I didn't call nobody. There was nothing to do. Now, legally, if there is any domestic violence that occurs within the home, as a mandated reporter, you have to report it. If there is a phone call made to law enforcement for domestic violence, and they arrive and there are children in the home, CPS is called immediately. Now, I think it's a good thing because I know what witnessing domestic violence does to children psychologically. But here's my problem with it. CPS is overloaded. And I know that's a lot of states, but I just know Tennessee. And they can't even keep up or do well enough with what they've already got. Now you're going to triple or possibly quadruple the amount of cases that these caseworkers have. And in my opinion, you're going to end up having we're going to see worse out of CPS, as much as I hate to say it.
They don't even have places for the kids. We were reading articles last year and the year before that they're shipping kids off to other states because they got no beds for them. And there's a proliferation in these more mountainous areas where you can, bootleg stuff, bootleg liquor, bootleg, meth, bootleg. You have a place that a lot of people become very substance addicted very quickly. And those children fall into neglect, and the states have to step up. When you have such a mass amount of that and no real facilities, I think me and you had talked about that, maybe at Layla's, no real facilities for people to go to get sober or anything like that. If they would put the necessary infrastructure and resources in these communities, it would lighten the load on the Department of Children and Family Services a little bit. Not much. I mean, it's hard getting off this crap.
I've been trying to, Florida has something that I would like to see in Tennessee, which is, I'm trying to remember what it's called. It might be considered a 5150 hold, if I'm not mistaken still. But if you have an individual that is really struggling with substance use, you as their family member can have them committed for treatment. You can have them committed. Now, they have to continue to meet criteria to stay within that. But Tennessee doesn't have anything like that. So if you've got someone that is so far out there on substances that you cannot get them in any kind of place to be ready for treatment, there's just, well, they're just another addict. And that's just the way it's viewed. And it's wrong. It's very wrong.
It is, but we also have to take the flip side about it. If when it comes to addiction, if you're not ready, you can throw millions of dollars at it, the problem, and it's still not going to fix. So, but you still want the places available for the people that are tired. And right now, like in Kingsport, there's nothing. There's nothing out there.
No, there's not. There's nothing. There's very little in this area. I was talking to Jennifer actually, to see kind of what Layla's organization was doing, just, to have more information to provide to people in the area. Cause I know they were really wanting to help people that were trying to get out of bad situations, maybe struggling with addiction and stuff. And, I know they're still working on, Layla's organization, and it's actually something, working in addiction and just knowing the need. It's something that, that I've been looking into, praying about to determine what I need to do. But I'm in the process of trying to open some sober living homes, to be completely honest, because we don't have much to choose from here. Now, this would not be treatment, like residential treatment, but it would be, after you've gotten clean and sober and had the having an opportunity to learn how to live a sober life. So I'm hopeful that that's something that can come to fruition once, I got to get my tax exempt stuff. I got to get my
that's what I was going to say. Is most of that stuff as federal government grants that get those things kickstarted. So that's the best avenue. Let me ask you this: do you think maybe some of the reason why Chris Proudfoot is so volatile is maybe substance or drug abuse that nobody is aware of?
I think that's a good possibility. I know, we'd heard at some point through the grapevine that there may have been some alcohol abuse that may have been occurring allegedly. I, can't confirm that, but that is something that I had heard, that there was a lot of possible alcohol use within the home at Sebastian's. Never, like I said, confirmed it 1,000%. But yeah, I believe that possibly is a very good possibility. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, there was a report that, and I don't want to say like make it sound like this is a extremely hard drug, but it's still a substance. But I'm pretty sure there was like THC possibly even found in the home.
Yeah, I think I'm the one that said that, because I heard from good accord that there were some type of CBD, THC type stuff that was visible.
Yeah.
But where's it? Oh yeah, I know we hit on it, and I didn't write it down, so that's why I was trying to talk until I circled back to it in my brain. We hit on the frustration Chris had exhibited on Smiley's web sleuths. There's been a number of them where he's had these very violent, derogatory outbursts, public outbursts. And then we find out, because Smiley Stories World brought the fact that CPS was involved. Then we have all these outbursts going on and on and on throughout it. We see we see kind of Chris for who he is. He's keel when everything's going his way, but as soon as something is not exactly as he sees, he shoots from 0 to 60 like that. And it makes us wonder, because of those CPS reports, and I think you hit on it a little bit about his volatility, is we're now looking at this as, how is Chris's behavior when Sebastian upsets him?
Yes. And the thing is too, one thing I've noticed, like, and I can, just, my kids my son's in ABA. So like I'm around other, autistic children as well. And one thing, like, it doesn't take much, like for some autistic individuals, like a loud noise to really startle them or really bother them in a sensory type, audio type sensory type way. And, to be honest with you, I have shed many tears, just really thinking about the fact that I can almost envision Sebastian being very, very scared of his stepfather. That I can.
Yeah. But then, we hear, because I did an interview with Seth, and I don't know if you were here for that interview or not, but there was something that came out in that interview. He was talking about, I can't remember what he said, but I remember I asked him, I said, has Katie been abusive to you? I can't remember the exact, I'll have to go back and look at it, but I remember stopping and asking him if Katie had ever been abusive, and that's kind of when we learned that Katie, would wake up, just be abusive toward him. He'd be sleeping, and she would just, out of the blue, just start wailing on him. So it always made me, because we always hear about Chris, but Katie's always silent. And those silent ones,
that's the ones to go watch for.
That's it. And it's like, we know he had a bruise on his neck. Where did that come from? She was the only one around him.
Very true. And we know that, she is very much so trained to take care of herself, not only from the training that she went through in the military, but the additional training that she's had in MMA. I mean, she could definitely do some damage to someone if she wanted to, and especially someone that could be, obviously defenseless. I don't know. Like I said, I've felt strongly in agreement with you in there being some disconnect with her son. I feel that, just because and again, I'm not, it's not a passing of judgment in any kind of way. So I don't want to make it sound that way, but I just have never met someone that could have a child, which again, I know she, maybe where she was younger, I don't know, but then leave and just, be deployed. Like, it's just not, it's not as typical for the mother to do that, so that to me was I was like, So I could almost see where the disconnect could kind of be. She wasn't there for some of those formative years. She was, serving in the military. So.
Yeah. And then, when he gets older and goes missing, she's not there for him either. I mean, Seth has been standing up for his son alone.
Yes,
they wanted the illusion of doing something, but they never really wanted to put, rubber to pavement. And it's just sad, because Sebastian, from everything I could see, he seemed like a really happy kid. He seemed like, and then now we know how really fucked up, excuse my language, his home life was. Yeah. And for him to still be able to go to school with a smile and still, go to his dad's every weekend and act like nothing's wrong, it just, I don't know, it just breaks your heart a little bit more that he felt so trapped he couldn't even trust his own dad to tell him what was going on.
I know that's heartbreaking. But a lot of times we know for victims, people that are being abused, they're threatened, they're scared to tell someone else. I mean, that's even with adults. So think about a child. I mean, I could see how it would be very easy to manipulate him, I guess is the best way to say it, to not tell what's going on, or this is going to be way worse on you if not. I can almost see that. And it's,
well, I have to think it was like that at a younger age, and it's just progressed so bad that he started telling his teacher.
Yes.
And
I
think the punishments.
School was an escape for him. I think that's where he got to be himself. He got to express himself. He got love. Not that, he did from his dad as well, but like outside of his home, the typical, Monday through Friday, that was an escape for him. So I was just.
Well, it looked like his teachers did love him. It seems like he had some pretty good teachers that really cared for him. Wearing green, knew his favorite color. I mean, when you heard the teachers give an interview about Sebastian, it was more heartfelt than his own mother's.
Absolutely, it was. You could tell the devastation that they were feeling, just how hurt they were. That not the worry that was in there, and it's like. You don't get that you really just don't get that. Or if you do, it feels like it's like forced through, mom and stepdad. It's almost so forced. Like, or, if it can't be forced, you can look to the one that has no problem telling anything, in my opinion. So I don't think CP has any problem saying whatever with a straight face all day long. So I think that he's kind of been her saving grace, in my opinion.
What do you think was the most detrimental problem with this case?
I think they bought into a lot of things in the beginning, just wanting to. I think Ellie really wanted to believe that he did wander off. I mean, I think that they were a bit blinded, because I know that CPS can be blinded by seeing a nice house. And, I got the opportunity to drive through Sebastian's neighborhood when I came to the 1 year anniversary, or his 1 year vigil. And, I'm like, some of these are like $1 million plus houses. And I was like, I can very much so see how CPS was blinded by things, because I hear it from the people that work in CPS, and they're like, oh yeah, it's a lot easier, because there's very basic things that you have to clear CPS for them to just close a case. As long as you got running water, you got some food, and the kid doesn't look like they've been, abused severely, or something like that, then it's case closed. And so, yeah, I don't. And
it's sad, because there's so many different types of abuses, and verbal abuse is still abuse, and it still traps a child, and they don't really have a whole lot for that, and I don't think that they're doing enough to find out if these children are being abused, but they're looking for the physical stuff, the stuff that's going to get them gone. But I mean, look at our children right now. We got a lot of people that are uneasy, but
I know.
Where do you think this case should go at this point?
I was super hopeful. Like, I had this renewed hope, March 1st. I'm not going to lie. I left out of that church just like, we're going to find Sebastian, but I feel like I personally am not losing hope. I don't want to ever say that, because I will never lose hope that he will be found. And I pray for Sebastian and Seth daily. They've been on my prayer list for quite some time now, but honestly, I don't really know the best route. I think the only thing that's going to help this case is to find Sebastian, and how we do that. That's one of those other things that I'm constantly just like, what else can I do? I know one thing that I tried to do at one point was just going into different I've made a Facebook with my Grave Crime with Grace account, because I don't have a regular or a personal Facebook.
Right.
And I would go in and just put his flyer out, just something to try to keep his name out there. And hope that the right person will someday come forward. Because I think obviously there are people that know, and I don't see them coming forward with that information. I don't know. There will have to be some significant evidence found, and I believe finding Sebastian will be what will be the main way that the justice is served for him.
I absolutely agree. I think they need to find him. And do you think he's in the Sumner County Sheriff's Office? Maybe you shouldn't answer that since you live in Tennessee. But I'm just asking because I keep wondering. I mean, they must think he's there somewhere in that sheriff's office because I don't see them looking for him anywhere else.
They don't go anywhere else to look. That's another thing that breaks my heart. You know, they searched for like 8 days. I want to say it was like 7 or 8 days or something like that. It wasn't like very long, and then that was it. There was nothing else. You've not heard of. I mean, in most other cases, you hear of just something. There's been nothing.
I know. Think about Seth. He's sitting here, and you make a valid point. You know, hearing something. Seth has been sitting here with nothing.
Oh,
nothing. They haven't produced his son. They haven't given him answers. They haven't made any arrests. They haven't done any additional searches. I mean, he's getting a freaking just a raw deal. And then that equates to Sebastian getting a raw deal.
That's exactly right. I agree. You know, I really was hopeful that there was going to be this good communication to continue between Sumner and Seth, and then to hear that that's not necessarily the case, that was so heartbreaking, because I felt like at the vigil, you know, Seth really wanted to include law enforcement in, you know, just like, look, you are the person that is going to help me find my kid, you know, and just really wanted to know, like, I appreciate what you've done thus far, like, and really try to encourage more, maybe that to be I felt like that was going to be the push they needed to, like, we're going to find this kid, you know, and it just, I feel like they've really let Seth and Sebastian down. Absolutely. It's sad.
Yep, I do as well. I was going to open up the phone lines for a few moments to let people chat and ask some questions. We were only going to get 2 calls in, but because I'm having technical issues, I'm not going to put up the phones. So I just wanted to thank you for coming on. Do you have any other comments to make? Is there something that I should have asked that I didn't ask?
No, not really. The only thing that I was going to bring up about Layla's case, I'm pretty sure it's okay for me to share this at this point. But in working within the addiction world, you know, I talk to people that talk to people, right? And I had spoke to someone that had gave me information regarding Layla, and I was tore all to pieces that day. I was like, oh my gosh, like, but I didn't know if it was true or not. You know what I mean? It was one of those things, and I was like, what do I do? So I was like, you know, I ended up what was told to me, and I don't think this is a big deal because this has been out there as well, but that there was a barn type of building that is located adjacent from the AmeriCorps Hotel. And what the intel that I had received stated that Layla's boyfriend knows who is involved 1000%, but he is not, and he didn't do this, but he knows who did. And that what occurred in a building, barn type of building. And then from there, they didn't know.
Nobody knows. Yeah. I've heard similar rumors because I thought it was Michael. Hands down, I thought it was Michael at the beginning. I didn't go, you know, I knew that I needed more to be sure, but in my mind, he made the perfect, you know, suspect, right? It's close to home, whatever, but you still have to have factual information. I just don't, you know, even though I felt that, I wanted to question him. I never came public with I may have said something on the sly because, you know, it is a boyfriend, and let's face it, domestics, we know this. We know the song and dance. And but I never pressured because I didn't have enough for me to convince myself that 100% he did it. And then as more information came out, we're starting to realize that he knows more than he was saying, but he wasn't involved. And I don't think he was there. But yeah, I've heard some rumors. I didn't hear about the barn, but I've heard a similar story in a different location.
Yeah. I did I let that be known to law enforcement, along with Layla's mother. I did. And I just, talked to her, and I was like, look, I would never want to tell someone something to hurt anyone, because I can assure you, but as a mother, like I did report this, and she just said that she had heard something very similar, but names had changed from time to time. And I was like, gotcha, but yeah, so my thing was, if you're getting similar stories from multiple different people, there's some truth in there. And so, it's been, just wanting to find out what is the truth as a part of that story. Because I learned that it was after the 1 year mark, but yeah, that was kind of the only thing I was going to bring up that I hadn't. So yeah.
Yeah, I miss Jennifer. I have such high regard for her, and
amazing. This 2 year vigil that they did for Layla.
I didn't even know it was. I don't know how the messages got crossed. I would have been there. I just lost track of the days, and then I was something else was going on in my sphere, and I'm like, shit, I can't do this and do this, but I didn't even know it was happening, and I was heading to another place, and I get a call, are you heading over to Layla's? And I looked at the date, and I'm like, holy crap, I didn't even realize what date it was. It's like, no, I'm at another engagement.
Oh, it's I was like, I wonder if Betty's going to be here. I was looking for you.
I would have been there. I just I lost track of my days, and I
was watching you live, and I do remember you were traveling, if I'm not mistaken, because
I can't remember where I was going,
because you were traveling, but I didn't know where, because I was like, I wonder if she's traveling over here. But it was beautiful, and to see Layla's daughter, because I hadn't actually never seen her.
I think it was the North Carolina. I think I was going to North Carolina with Olivia.
Yes, it may have been, because I remember you were traveling, and I was like, she's kind of close to here. So like, but I thought about it, but I wasn't sure if, what would go on, but it was beautiful. And Jen is just an amazing human being, that has just continues to fight tooth and nail for her girl. And my heart breaks for her. So we pray for Layla, as well. And just all those that are missing, and the victims' families.
Yeah. And I just, we had some conversations here, and I think you even hit the nail on the head, what Seth went through to advocate for his son. No parent should have to fight with a bunch of strangers about their case. At the end of the day, Sebastian wasn't with his father. Sebastian's father, Seth, was at work. He worked the night shift all night long. I mean, it's like this divine intervention, because I swear, if Seth had a day job instead of an evening job, how he would have been treated 10 times worse than he is right now. It disgusts me. It disgusts me. We lay blame here on this show after dutiful research. I mean, not just a whim of emotion.
Absolutely. Well, and you can't, I mean, too, because you have to give it time. You do have to look into things, because people do act different. That is one thing that I've had to realize, just like people, they always say people grieve differently, and they do, not typically in a point where it's just like, woo, a party. That's not usually considered grieving, but or like going to a motorcycle rally, like that's not really, I don't think that's typically a part of grieving. But
you just brought up something that enrages me, that absolutely enrages me more than the frickin' barbecue. It's the flippin' motorcycle rally. Like, how dare you?
To me, I don't know. I can't get the logic behind things. Like, I'm like, do you not think before, like, are you not thinking before you even do certain things? I mean, just to cover your own butt in a way, you know what I'm saying?
How brazen that is, and how they just don't care. They don't care about their image. They don't care about what we think. They don't care about what law enforcement thinks. It's just like, basically, so what? We got rid of a kid. Move on.
That's exactly right.
Get over it.
And I can definitely tell you, and you may remember the emails when everything occurred with you. I won't go in depth. I don't want to get you like mad or anything like that. But I was so infuriated, because the first thing was, it's like, why are these lies being told to the point that, like, they're having somebody arrest, like literally. You will
listen. Nobody, law enforcement has the ability to research anything. They had every opportunity to know that that was full of shit. They knew it was full of shit. They chose to do that.
And
we're gonna hold them accountable to their behaviors.
And I think you know my opinion on that. I've stated that many a times, and I agree 100%. There needs to be accountability held 1000%, because you are allowing someone basically to kind of run your government that could potentially be involved with, a missing child, be the cause of a child that's missing. So, I mean, I don't know. It's wild. I've never seen anything like Sumner. I'm just being honest. I've just never seen something like this, to be honest. I haven't.
And I'm sorry to the county, because I mean, they just got shortchanged $200 million in their county budget this year. And you know what? I truly believe that was some activism that went up a lot further than they ever thought it would go up.
Yeah.
But I mean, at night had Leland sitting with the president. I mean, we've been having people writing the frickin' the governor, the Senate, the Congress. I mean, we've been doing stuff. I think we don't see that any of this really does help, and we don't know why they got $200 million taken from their budget. Is it because of this activism? It very well may be from all of us. We may have put a real big monkey wrench because we were screaming so loud about the bull crap there, and people that did decide to look under the hood realized what they were doing and said, this ain't, you want to do that? Fine. This is how you want to treat people from the outside? Fine. Then you don't need any of that outside money. Take care of yourself there, buddy.
That's exactly right. And it very well could be. I know I was one of the first. I was on that same train with you. I was like, because as far as, writing politicians, it's one thing that I did learn in school was a little more about policy. Because in social work, that's one thing that, that's a part of what we do. We want better policies that help that help our communities, that help the people. So, to look at some of the policies, I'm like, I don't really quite understand what, I guess we don't know everything that goes on behind the scenes, but I guarantee there's a good reason that it was cut.
Yeah. All I can say is that, what Chris and Katie did, we called all their counties. I can tell you that no other county you can do that, what Chris and Katie did to me in any other county.
Oh,
literally no other Tennessee county would be, when you call them and tell them the story, they're like, no, we can't take that's not how this works.
Yeah.
So they were able to do stuff that nobody else in any other county in the state of Tennessee were able to accomplish. That's pretty corrupt.
That's and it's scary when you think about it, that like, especially for people that live in Sumner County, that's scary.
That's
to think
scary.
that, I would just hate to think that I couldn't trust my law enforcement.
They've been arresting people for DUIs when they didn't even have a drink.
There you go. I mean, it's insanity. Like I said, there's certain things I love about Tennessee, as a Tennessee resident, but we have got some work to do in the state of Tennessee.
It's a beautiful state. Sure. I've always loved Tennessee. I've always, up until I got into true crime, that was going to be my next place I was going to move. I will be honest with you. But after doing what I do,
you said bye Tennessee.
You know what I said? I said, yeah, I want to leave my area, but maybe I shouldn't leave Florida. I think I'm a true blue Floridian. I don't feel safe any other place than Florida. If anything happens in Florida, because I don't break the law.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so if I get jammed up, I know people. I got people to call.
Yes, okay? Exactly. Hey, you can ask Sonia when all that went on. I'm like messaging her, and I'm like, "What do we do? What do you do? Like, do we need bond money? What do we do?" She's like, chill out. We're working on that, but it is. It's scary to know that things like that can occur when all you're doing is trying to help a family of a missing child, and you are willing to have want that person locked up that's trying to help you find your kid. If that's not red flag behavior, what else isn't? I mean,
but I have to think that some of that did. I mean, that was a pretty hefty sting. That was something. That's all I'm going to say. That was something. That was a big something.
Yes, it sure was.
So,
Absolutely.
Anyways, well, Grave Crime with Grace, thank you so much for coming on, letting the audience, you've been here, you've been part of the coffee club for a good long while, but, for our family to see you and get to know you, I really do hope that something comes. I hope you come back here next time. I know they have a new feature on here where we can live together.
Oh, okay.
So I'd like to do that. I've never done it. But I think I'm going to try to do that with my content creators is live together. So you'll be live on your channel. I'll be live on my channel, and we can kind of just zoom them together.
Absolutely. I think that sounds great.
Yeah. So like I said, I've never done it. I wasn't going to test it out on you for a try run.
Well, I was already
we're talking about Sebastian, so
I was already a nervous wreck. So I was like, what do I don't know anything about StreamYard. So I'm like, I hope there's nothing I have to do because we're in big trouble.
Yeah. No, that's why I said, just go there, click on it, make sure your camera and your sound's all adjusted. That's all you need to do. Boom, boom.
Absolutely.
So
well, thank you so much for having me. I've really appreciated it.
Absolutely. Well, I can't wait until the next time. We'll see you soon.
Good. See you.
All right, love. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So everybody give Grave Crime with Grace a round of applause. That was really it was just a great conversation to touch on two cases out in Tennessee, Layla Santinello, Sebastian Drake Rogers. Definitely some sus in both cases, but it's all about perspective. It's all about talking about things. It's all about hearing other people. And so I'm going to try, if I can, to do, interviews like maybe every other Friday. We might start out with just one a month. But then we'll probably try to integrate them like every other Friday to bring a new person up here that has some knowledge about some cases and, just, I don't know, gel and learn some new stuff. There we go. When it gets this late, many of you know my brain starts going put, because I'm up ridiculously early in the morning, even though I'm not live ridiculously early like we used to. I may start doing that because you know what, damn it, if I got to be up that time of morning, I think y'all should be too. I'm just saying, I'm sick of being up alone drinking coffee at 5 o'clock in the morning. So we might have to get our true coffee club back. So many people, so many of our late sleepers are like, but we like the 10 a.m. What's happening to Betty after 10 a.m.? I turn into a pumpkin. So we used to have, if you guys don't know, if you guys are not from the originals, from the originals time frame, we used to have coffee club at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay, our show started at 5 o'clock in the morning. Back when I first started, I think we were on lives literally all day. Like, we just hang out. I don't even know if we talked about, like, we talk about true crime, and then it'd be like 5 hours of just, I don't know, laughing, and we were stupid. What can I say? Did I say that out loud? 5 a.m. Yes, we were running the show at 5 a.m. Believe it or not, we had a lot of people up. We had a lot of people up at 5 a.m. Don't ask me why. I think we have some insomniacs. I'm not sure what it was, but I'm telling you, at 5 a.m., this whole entire channel was filled with people. Okay. Early Betty, yes. And some people are like, I gotta get up. Why do you gotta do your live so damn early? Can't you just put it back just a couple hours? I'm like, well, let's put it back a couple hours, but 5 a.m. crew won't show up. They'll be at work. We worked hard for that 5 a.m. crew too. We definitely entertained a lot of sleepy-eyed people in our history here. So who knows? If I keep getting up at 5 o'clock, I might just roll with the show at 5 and do another one at 10. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm sick and tired of sitting in my bed for 5 hours waiting on y'all to wake up. Just saying, not playing. Oh, man, look what the cat drug in. Look what the cat drug in. It's nice to see you, Mr. Seth. We were talking all about you behind your back. I just thought I'd throw that out there. We were talking all kinds of smack behind your back. Sorry about that. Maybe we should have invited you on. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. We don't want to answer. We don't want to ask you any questions. We just like talking about you behind your back. We still pray for you, though, my friend. Betty, I would. What does it say? Betty, I would still be. Oh, that's right. That's right. We'll have to do something, Lady Freedom. We'll have to do something. You're close enough to me that we could probably do something like, I don't know, like a special together. Because you're not that far. So anyways, guys, thanks for coming out. Thanks for hanging out. We've got 3 cases. If you weren't here at the beginning of the show, we're going to be talking about tomorrow. We've got a Missouri baby. I need my Missouri activists, doing something here, because we got a baby that is scarred for the rest of his life. His mom and her boyfriend are not even in jail. Almost unalive, their months-old baby, and still all this time not in jail. So we're going to have to do something in Missouri. Giovanni Pelletier's here in Florida. And then, of course, we have Lindsay Doerr, Doerr, and that's in Garrett County. I believe that's in Maryland. I think it's in Maryland. I think it's in Garrett County, Maryland, but I don't see Maryland on here. Yes, Maryland. The mother's sprawling property. Is there really a place called Accident, Maryland? Accident, Maryland. Is that a typo? Oh, thank you, Grave Crime with Grace. I appreciate that. I need to go through this stuff. Oh, yeah, we have the winner of the coffee cup as well. The rules for the coffee cup tonight was the people had to be present. So you have to be in the chat for tonight's drawing of the coffee cup in order to get the coffee cup. And I lost every time I touch this thing. It's so damn finicky. Why you gotta be so finicky? Just always has to be so finicky. We're going to give myself a rich house. There we go. So I feel like I'm, look at this beautiful place I've got here. Look at this. Look at this. I know. I need to have I need to get a maid. What can I say? Because we got this. That's funny. Oh, come on. That's funny. That's funny. All right. So where are we going from here? So we have Lindsay. Oh, yeah. We're doing the coffee cup drawing. Sorry, it's getting late. You guys know my brain starts slowing down when it's this late. So if you're in the chat. Ooh, what's this? That is kind of twisted. I gotta be honest with you. That is pretty stinking twisted. Oh my God, guys! Breaking news! I think they found him. Sorry, I think Gabrielle's been found, y'all. Giovanni, excuse me, Giovanni. I think Giovanni's been found. Body found in retention pond near I-75 and State Road 70 in Manatee County. Sorry, guys, but I can't fix my camera. My camera keeps going out. Every single time this thing shakes a little bit, it drops my camera. I don't get that. I don't get it. Guys, they found him. He's deceased. They found Giovanni. When we were doing our live about the mass shooting in Atlanta, South Atlanta. But I said, I told you, buddy, it was foul play. I knew it. Well, maybe not. They said they dropped him off. It could be, their statement could be true. Now, not that they were responsible by ditching him, but they did say they dropped him off at I-75 and State Road 70 at 1:30 in the morning. I do believe that nobody's saying, nobody's talking about whether there was alcohol or drugs involved. And the description, I do believe that with the initial information that it's definitely sus with the cousins, period. Absolutely believe, without a doubt, it's absolutely sus. Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Seth. And we will continue to pray. But they did say that he was dropped off there, and they did find items that appeared to be dumped, like cell phones and other belongings there near I-75 and State Road 70, which again seems sus to me, because why would you just throw somebody out of your vehicle, even if they are acting odd? Why didn't you just saying, just calm down, we're going to take you home, we're not leaving you out in the middle of nowhere, you're not from here. But if it's true, they did say I-75 and State Road 70, and with it being a retention pond, if he was under the influence of any type of substances or alcohol, we all know in a place where you can't see, he could have fell in, hit his head, and could not get out. These are things that could happen. This is developing information. It's right where the kids said they dropped him off. If it was not this close to I-75 and State Road 70, then I would start believing that the cousins have something to do with it. But now hearing that they said he was dropped off at I-75 and State Road 70 and he wound up in a retention pond, I'm starting to think that this is going to be something where drugs or alcohol was introduced into him. They got into a fight, because I kept thinking, okay, well, let's play devil's advocate. What would make a kid just all of a sudden start freaking out in the car? And it's usually when they have a bad trip or a bad high or a bad something. And usually it freaks them out. Or if they've never done something before and they could get freaked out, and you never know how your body is going to react. And when people can't handle it or don't know what to do, they're just going to toss you out the road. Now, I was worried if the story was true that they said that he would have been hit by a car, but with him winding up in a retention pond, it sounds like he may have started walking and fell in. But this is still too soon to tell anything. There still could be some type of injury on him consistent with homicide. We don't know what it is, but this is kind of playing more in with the cousin's story. You see what I'm saying? This is kind of, it's starting, like, they're not going to tell law enforcement they dropped him off at I-75 and State Road 70 if they just unalived him and dumped him in the retention pond at I-75 and State Road 70. You see what I'm saying? So this is kind of telling me that maybe the cousins were being more forthcoming and truthful than I initially thought. I thought it was the cousins. I won't lie. I tell everybody it was the cousins. My best friend's the one that reached out to me about this case. And I read into it in a few minutes, and I just told her, I said, it's pretty much the cousins. Based on everything I'm reading here, this doesn't make any damn sense. That's what I told her, right? Because it didn't make any damn sense. But I still wasn't even convinced with that. Otherwise, I would have brought you guys the story 2 days ago. Because that's when I found out about it, was 2 days ago. Actually, when did I find out about it? Pretty sure it was 2 days ago. Hold on here. So she told me about the Clay County kid on Monday. Wednesday evening. He says, are you working on this story about the missing boy Giovanni? I said, no, but I'll check into it. Wednesday is when I got this. And so I knew that our sheriff was looking for some items out there at I-75. So, but based on everything, it just didn't make sense. I thought the kid went back to MEMS. And then I found out this afternoon that they found some items on I-75 and State Road 70 that may belong to him. And I started thinking, okay, this sounds like they dumped, further supporting my opinion that the cousins had something to do with it. But now with him winding up in the retention pond right there at I-75 and State Road 70, that's telling me that they were most likely telling the truth because, again, think about it. Criminals are not going to tell law enforcement where they just dumped a body. Okay? They're just not. And if they did, they're either really brilliant or really stupid. I don't know which. But now hearing this this makes sense. So now we're going to have to look at other options for this because now I'm starting to think that there's going to be an alcohol angle or a substance abuse angle with this. There still could be, some type of foul play angle at this, but this kind of is really supporting the cousins' claims. So I'm sure those cousins probably are going to blame themselves for the rest of their lives because what they did was wrong. And now a cousin that they just met for the first time is deceased. I don't know what they did. I don't know where they went. But I got to think that they were out having a good time. It was 1:30 in the morning when he started freaking out and asking for help. That seems to me like they were partying. And things had just probably, got peaked at that moment. So I just try to be realistic. I try to figure out what I'm reading, what could be possibly going on. Let's just walk through it. So is this foul play? Is it not? It, to me, was more foul play than it is today, than it is right this moment. Okay, just, hey, Busby, it's nice to see you, my love. I hope you're doing well, my friend. So this is not good news, but at least this is not going to be a drawn out search for a young man. It sounds like this young man made some decisions that wrong time, wrong place. We'll leave it at that. Wrong time, wrong place for Giovanni. But it sounds like Giovanni's been found. So we'll be updating you guys. You don't have to worry about researching the case too much. I'll be providing you guys an update on where the case is first thing in the morning. Once I get an idea, once they start processing the scene. 3 hours, they've already probably got the body pulled and down to the coroner's office. So I anticipate tomorrow them starting to do an autopsy of some sort. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe Monday or Tuesday. They should start doing the autopsy on him. Prayers to his family. I can't imagine, leaving home from North Carolina and coming down for a vacation and a family member not coming home from vacation. That's got to be horrible. And for that to be a child, a young man, an 18-year-old, just a child. He's a child. He's a child. And it's heartbreaking. But you know what? We always try to find a silver lining here. So let's make sure that Giovanni, his name rings true for a long time to come. We've got to find out what happened and make sure that it doesn't happen, or make sure that we tell a story so maybe his story can help somebody else from this happening too. Anyways, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. Don't leave. Don't leave. Don't leave. Drawing. You have to be here for the drawing. You have to be here for the drawing. Okay. Do we have, drum roll, please? Best thing I got. Okay. Is Passion Flower in the chat? Passion Flower is, if you're not in the chat, unfortunately, we move on to the next person, but we're going to give Passion Flower an opportunity to make sure that she is in chat. I want to give her an opportunity to have. So Passion Flower is the winner for the coffee cup, potentially. Because in order for this gift, the coffee cup, to be claimed, you have to be here in our live tonight. So if we do not have Passion Flower, we'll be going. I had Sonia pull 3 names. When we were at our live this morning, I told her to go ahead and pull 3 names. If Passion Flower is here, I don't know, because I didn't see Passion Flower when we came in here. which is a shame. I don't think she's here anymore. Aww. Can somebody type her name in and see if she's in here? If she's not in here, we have to go to the next one. And I think the next one is in here. I remember seeing the next one in here. So it shows them here. All of them? Passion Flower, are you here? Pass on them. Well, if she's in the audience, let me just give her. Let me give her an opportunity. Maybe she went to the bathroom. Maybe she didn't realize we're all trying to call her. She is in here. Okay, well, she's got to be here, so I'm going to wait for a little bit longer. That's the rule. You got to be in the chat. She might be asleep. Oh, no. She fell asleep on us. She's going to hate it tomorrow. All right, well, I'll give her another 30 seconds. I'll give her another 30 seconds to pipe up. Passion Flower, are you here? We want to give you a coffee cup. All right. The next one I did see in here. Linda Nunley. Linda, are you in the chat this evening? Linda. Oh, these people are going to be so... when they do the replay, they're going to be so angry. Oh, no. Okay, and then the last one. If we don't have this person in here, let's Linda Nunley. We might be stuck. We might not even be able to give away a Bullhorn Betty coffee cup. We may have to do it tomorrow morning. Kathleen LeBron. Is there a Kathleen LeBron in here? Kathleen? Calling Kathleen. Never leave live early. I'm telling you. We had 3 names tonight to give away a free Bullhorn Betty coffee cup. And all 3 of the names were not here this evening. And I know it's late, and I'm sorry, but the rules are the rules. The rules are the rules. So... someone must get the coffee cup tonight. I agree, Piano Girl, but I went through 3 names, and all 3 names, there was 2 people, well, at least one. I know Linda was here. At least I thought she was here. Maybe it was from this morning. I don't know. We did redraw. We redraw 3 times, or now we're going to have to wait until morning. No coffee cup tonight. No coffee cup tonight. All right, Sonia, pull me 3 new names for tomorrow morning. And if you guys are not here, you're not getting your treat. See? I make sure that you're drinking in style. We're going to have 3 pissed off members of our family tomorrow morning. I can promise you that. All right, we'll give it some magical, I don't know, prayers, good vibes, good juju. We'll sleep on it, and Sonia will pull 3 new names tomorrow. I never knew it was this hard to get rid of a coffee cup before, and I didn't know. Does the coffee cup smell or something? I think it's cute, and it packs a lot of freaking coffee in it. It's my best friend. No, it's not. Delilah is. Delilah's my BFF. And Delilah, she's been so good too. Come here. Oh, she's pouting because I had to work tonight. She didn't like the fact that she's probably sleeping in bed. You guys know she's always around me. And she's in bed on a pillow, laying there because she didn't even come into this office. That's how mad she is at me. That's how mad she is at me. All right, guys. Well, tomorrow I guess we'll find out who the winner of my like. We need to now dip the coffee cup in gold or something. It's going to be the golden goose. It's going to be the golden goose. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow again. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Thank you guys for all coming out and supporting Grave Crime with Grace. I do appreciate it. Get over there, step up her channel. Not just here on YouTube, but over there on TikTok too. I watch her all the time on TikTok. You guys need to check out her stuff. So, oh, her ears were ringing. Come. Are you done being mad at mommy? I woke you up at night. You look like you got sleepy head. Come on. Come say hi to everybody. Just a little bit. Come on. There you are. Aw. There she is. But can we try not to get your tongue in my mouth live on the show, please? That's how rumors get started there, little girl. Just saying. Just joking. I'm just joking. Ain't that my poopy? Ain't that my poopy? Look at her. All right. I got to go spend some time with this rugrat. So we'll see you soon. We'll see you tomorrow. Be there or be square. And if I can't get rid of that cup tomorrow, I don't know. I think we're getting rid of the cup tomorrow. Be here if you want a coffee cup that says BHB on it. I know. Why are you crying over the coffee cup? You don't drink coffee. All right, I gotta go. She's getting a little wiry. All right, love you guys.